Hello everyone. Today we'll discuss about the concept called product development. So, in this product development, we need to focus on various parameters. That parameter have been listed out over here. Initially, we need to give the brief introduction about the new product developmentation. What is the main purpose of giving the consideration, or we can also call it as what is the main purpose of introducing the new product to the market, that we are going to discuss. After concentrating on the introduction, we need to focus on the structuring of a new product development, how we can have a proper structuring as well as the development of a particular product in before going to launch to the market. Then comes the important consideration in a product development system, that is a DSS, stands for decision support system. In this particular concept, we'll study how we can build a particular support system for a developmentation of a new product. After studying that, we will move on to estimating of the market opportunities. We need to see the opportunities encountered in the market in order to launch the new product. Then comes a financial control system, which is very essential for the implementation of a new product. Then comes the implementing of a new product development. There will be some of the considerations that you need to study, and also you need to have some market entry decisions which will be considered for launching as well as tracking of a new product. Finally, we'll be having the concept called a redesign. Why redesign of a product is very much essential if you consider any new product developmentation, that we're going to focus on. So we'll study one by one. We'll straight away start with the structuring of a new product development. Initially we discussed why the concept of new product developmentation is very essential. We all know that in if you consider any market, or if you consider any the process of business system or production system, day by day you'll be getting lots of competitions. So in order to sustain your product for a longer period, you need to have a proper product developmentation. You need to remodify your product again and again, so that you can attract a customer. If you attract a customer, your product will reach to the market. So in order to achieve all these considerations, you need to have a proper procedure that should be followed. And that the first consideration is new product development. How you can make a proper plan in order to execute this new product development, that will be considered various aspects. We have been taken this for various consideration. Initially you need to have a proper idea, and that idea should be generated in a systematic manner. How you will going to execute your product in a systematic considerations. Once you have a proper idea generation, then you need to have a screening. You need to collect a lot of information from different sources. After collecting the information from different sources, you need to screen it. You need to evaluate or execute it in a systematic manner in order to design or in order to define your particular concept. Once you define the concept, then you need to make proper strategies in order to execute your product, or in order to launch your product to the market. What a strategy you will going to play, that is very important. Once you have a proper strategy analysis, now you will move on to the developmentation of particular product as well as the testing. And in this testing, again you need to concentrate more on market aspects. Once you have all these kind of testings, you'll be moving on to commercialization, where you're going to fix the price of your particular product and other parameters. Finally, you'll be launching your product to the market. Now we will discuss one by one. Initially we had taken the concept of idea generation, where we will going to collect the information. Either it may be taken from internal source, or either it may be taken from external source. Next comes SWOT product analysis. We know S stands for the strength, W stands for weakness, O stands for opportunities, and T stands for threat. So all these analysis are very essential in order to do some kind of research in market, because we need to see type of customer and we need to see type of competition which is existing in the market. Then comes idea evaluation as well as screening. We mentioned initially we had taken the information, initially we had taken the consideration of ideas. From there we have initiated some of the parameter. From there we have considered some of the ideas. Now you need to have a proper screening in order to take, or in order to evaluate these ideas. You need to concentrate on the total strength of the company, total weakness of the company, as well as you need to focus on the customers also, because our main intention is whatever the product we will going to launch, that should be passed, or that should be taken care by the customer. They need to they get attracted with our product, and whatever the ongoing trends which is existing in the market, because depending upon the trend, the modification may go on changes. Next comes the concept definition. I mentioned we need to define your particular concept. So what we can say, this is a type of a detailed strategy, or which is a blueprint version of your idea, exact model. So what happens here is we're going to consider all the ideas that pass the screening stage are turned into concepts for testing purpose. Initially we had taken lot of information that should be passed to the screening stage, where you're going to screen or you're going to scrutinize that. From there you're going to define particular concept. Why you need to define this particular concept? Because you need to test that particular model or whatever the product which we will going to launch for the market. Then comes strategic analysis. Here also we'll be having different consideration or different criteria that should be considered. Competition of the product, we will be having what type of competition which is existing in the market. For that, what action you can take, what is the cost which is involved in the process, pricing strategy what you have been planned, then break-even point which should be considered for the process. Then we have moved further for product development and testing. So in product development and testing, this is an improved version, the next stage which is considered for the process. Once all the strategies are approved, the product concept is transformed into an actual tangible product. We have decided with all the ideas which we have been collected from the different sources, then we have scrutinized, we have defined, or we have executed with one particular model. Whatever the model or whatever the object we have been taken into consideration, for that we need to make a proper testing or proper developmentation. So this development stage of new product development results in building up of a prototype, execution or executing this with the help of a prototype or a limited production models. Once you have a product developmentation as well as the testing, now we'll move on to the market. So market testing is also very essential part which we have been considered over here. The prototype is introduced for research and feedback in the test marketing phase. So how you will going to consider this testing? Customers feedbacks are taken and further changes if required are made to the product. So mainly if you talk about the market testing, here customers play a major role. So we need to take the output from the customer, or you need to take the suggestion or the opinion from the customer. Based on that we need to proceed, because our intention is to fulfill the customer's requirement. Commercialization. So in commercialization again, we need to consider various parameters like pricing for your product or providing the service, as well as finalizing the marketing plans, etc. So every minor as well as the major decision is made before the final introduction stage of the new product development. So all these parameters we need to take care of before going to execute or before going to give the final introduction stage of a new product development. You should supposed to be very careful about the pricing. You're supposed to be very careful about the providing service and finalizing the market plans. Product launch, this is a final stage which we have been considered in the structuring of a new product development. After considering all these parameters, we need to launch our product in a systematic manner. So in order to launch our product, whatever the chain relation we have been maintained, that will be interconnected to each other. After considering all these parameters, you will be executing the detailed launch plan that will going to help to ensure the smooth introduction of your product to the market. Now we'll discuss something about a decision support system. How we can consider the building of a decision support system. What do you mean by decision support system? That is very important. The decision support system, we can also represent shortly as a DSS, is an information system that supports business or organizational decision making activities. So we considered before, whatever the process, if you want to start, you need to define it in a systematic manner. So here also DSS, decision support system, stands for the information system. And what it will going to do, it will going to support the business or the organizational decision making activities. So this will going to give a support for any decision making activities. So here whatever the activities you're going to encounter, so DSS serves the management, operations and planning level of an organization and help people make a decision about problems that may be rapidly changing and not easily specified in advance. So whatever the support system which will going to provide for taking any decision, we mentioned whatever the consideration we have taken in a new product development, taking decision is very essential. For that you require some support systems, and that will be provided by this. Either it may be any case, you can take a decision which is rapidly changing, or you can take a decision which is specified in advance. Now you need to know what is the basic component which is involved in a decision support system architecture. So there are three fundamental component which is considered in DSS architecture, and these fundamental components are divided into the database. This database we can also consider it as knowledge base, the model, and the model which we can consider it as a decision context, and finally the user interface. So you need to know about all this parameter. What do you mean by database is an organized collection of data generally stored and accessed electronically from a computer system. It is the information which is stored somewhere, either we can call it as, either we can consider it in a computer system. Whenever you require a lot of information or the data, that will be executed, or that will be used for proceeding. Now comes the model. A conceptual model is a representation of a system made of the composition of concepts which are used to help people know, understand or assimilate a subject the model represents. So it is an object which is considered, or it is a representation of a product in one particular shape. Okay, and that will going to help people to know as well as understand and simulate a subject the model representation. The variations, whatever the testing you are going to do, that will be applied, or that will be considered with the help of a model. And this model representation is also very essential, which we have taken the information from the database. Finally, the third stage is user interface. In the industrial design field of human computer interaction is a space where interactions between human and machines occurs. Obviously we know there will be an interaction between man and machine, because whatever the instruction you're going to give the machine, based on that machine will going to perform. So user interface is very essential. The goal of this interaction is to allow effective operation and control of the machine from the human end. Obviously, whatever the input the human or the worker or the instructor is going to give, that is very very essential, because whatever the work he'll be doing with the help of machine, that will going to lead with the final output. So this is a representation of decision support system. This decision support system is interconnected with the database, the model, as well as the user interface. So after representing the component, after studying the component of a decision support system, we'll be moving on to the estimating the market opportunities for a new product. For the estimation of a market opportunity for a new product will be mainly considered with the different considerations, starting from the size of the market, market growth, as well as the competition which is encountered in the market, profitability, consumer and product type. So we have taken the flow chart, or we have taken the representation. Here we have an interconnection between market size, we have a market growth. So the size of the market which is interconnected with the growth rate of a market, and so this growth rate is mainly depending upon the competition which is existing in the market. So this competition which is mainly affecting the profit which we're going to get for our product. Finally, the consumer as well as the type of the product which will be considered. So if I talk about the market size, the first and most important factor to consider while determining the market potential is the market size of your product. So we mentioned, whatever the product if you consider, and whatever the product if you plan for launching it in the market, you need to see how big the market, and how your product will going to sustain it in the market, what is the maximum capacity of the market. Based on that, you need to produce your product. The market size is the total market potential of all companies put together, and market size is the total market potential of all companies which are put together. So we consider the maximum extent, maximum capacity. So now if I talk about the growth rate, we mentioned depending upon the performance of the product. If we give the good product, good quality product, and if we launch good quality product, then our market growth will going to increase. So if you consider the market growth rate, which is mainly depending upon the performance of the product. If your product is performing well, then you'll be getting a good market growth. And if your product which is not performing well, that means the customer which will not they're not going to like your product, then the growth rate will going to decrease. So that's why the performance of the product, which is mainly directly proportional to the market growth rate. Now comes to the competition. Obviously, if you talk or if you discuss any market or any field, there will be a lot of competition. So you, in order to sustain your product for a longer period, you need to give a better quality product. You need to know and understand the competition in the industry. Why why you need to know as well as understand the competition in an industry? Because to determine the market potential for the product you are going to launch. So whatever the product you supposed to want to launch, you need to have a better idea about the competition in the industrial field. So all these parameters should be considered in various aspects. So competition play a major consideration here. Profitability, and this profitability is a part of any product. What is the profit you're going to get? So there are various aspects which we have been considered. How you can calculate the profit to determine the market potential, that can be considered for various aspects. I have listed out here the four main elements, starting from ROI, stands for return on investment, ROS return on sales, RONA return on net assets, and ROCE return on capital employed. All these parameters which is considered for the profitability, calculating the profitability of any product which you are going to launch. Whatever the product you have been launched to the market, you supposed to get the profit. In order to get the profit, what action you supposed to take, you know. Based on that, if you proceed, then you will be getting the profit. consumer and product type. Here you supposed to concentrate on the customers and the type of product which you are going to launch to the market. I have taken some example over here. If I compare with this example, you can see soap as well as shampoo. All these products, simple product, are daily used product. That means you will be using number of soaps and number of shampoos in your life or customer's life. But if I talk about a refrigerator, that is limited. Hardly 20 years once the customer is used to change the product. So these two are the type of the product. So you need to decide the product type, what type of product you supposed to launch for the market. Before going to launch for the market, you need to calculate all these parameters. If I talk about soap, shampoo, toothpaste, this product, if you have planned, then you need to product huge number of quantities. Why? Because all these products, what we can call soap, shampoo, toothpaste and all, the customer will going to use day life he will be using. But if I talk about refrigeration, if I talk about air conditioning, if I talk about some other devices which they'll not going to change regularly, they'll use that for a longer period. So if you concentrate on these kind of product, then the number of count what you're going to launch for the market, that should be reduced. All this consideration which we're going to consider here: what type of product will be launching to the market, what type of consumer you'll be getting. Now, after studying all this parameter, we'll move on to new product financial control. So the cost control is essential to keep a close eye on cost when you develop a new product. So I mentioned, whatever the new product you want to develop, you need to be very careful about the cost. So here what we used to do is we'll going to estimate this by considering different parameters, starting from estimate development cost in advance, monitor spending throughout the development process, and introduce phased investment. All these considerations are very essential in order to control the financial aspects for the new product. So what I can do here is we have two different approaches to estimate the cost. That is, consider it as a top down approach as well as bottom down approach. If you talk about top down approach, where you consider previous comparable project and we use them as a benchmark. So top down approach will be considering the previous concepts or the project, and based on that we will consider that as a benchmark, and then we will going to proceed. But this is not same in the case of bottom approach. In bottom up approach, where all team members agree the cost they expect to incur with one project manager, who will then estimate the total cost. So that will be a systematic process. Here all the team members, they'll going to sit together, they'll discuss something, and depending upon the cost, then they'll pass this to the project manager, where again the estimation of this will be decided. And this is a consideration. We can see over here we have two approaches, bottom up approach as well as the top up approach, and whatever the consideration you will be taking in bottom up approach, that is different, and whatever the consideration you will be taking in top down approach, that is also different. We will be having consideration. This will be represented with the help of neat sketch. Now we'll be moving on to the implementing a new product development. This is also very essential. Implementing of the new product development, we'll be considering this new product development process, which is focused on two broad areas that is listed over here: to develop new uses for existing product one. Next one is to develop highly profitable and reliable product for existing and potential customers. So the capacity to manage the new product development process, which requires the group of abilities, and whatever the ability which is required in order to manage the product development process, that should be listed here. Supposed to able to integrate between the different functional perspectives. We supposed to have different functional perspectives are able to interrupt the need of the customers, and is supposed to have a focused technological improvements, and also must be capable of selecting and compute between the projects. These are all the capacity which is considered for the new product development process, the maximum capacity which will be considered for the consideration. Now we will discuss about market entry decision. Yeah, before going to discuss the same thing, you need to know about market entry decision. This market entry decision, we can also consider it as market entry strategy. It's a planned distribution of delivery method of a goods or service to a new target market. Here we'll be having a proper planning, distributing as well as the delivery method of a goods as well as the services to a new target market. So in the import and export of services, it refers to the creation, establishment and management of contracts in a foreign country. So marketing decision include promotion decision, which are important contents of the marketing mix, in which different aspects of marketing communication occurs. We discussed initially whatever the planning you're going to make, that play a major role here. Whatever the planning you're going to do, based on that the process will be continued, and whatever the process you will be continuing here, that will be interconnected for various aspects, and you need to take care of all these aspects which is encountered in the process. Then we have launching and tracking of a new product program. How you will going to launch and track this? So launching as well as tracking of a new product program, which will be explained with the help of flowchart, starting from initially you need to start the process. Before going to start, whatever the cases you need to take, that should be considered here. Then you need to see availability of the product, whatever the consideration you will be taking for that, what the support system you will going to consider. All these parameter launching as well as tracking of a new product is very essential, which consisting of various steps, starting from initially starting the process to the ending process as well as the launching. Whatever the steps you have been explained, everything will be listed out, and this parameter launching as well as the tracking, which is used innovative tactics, and these tactics are interconnected with all the parameter what we have discussed previously, and you're supposed to follow some systematic procedure. Either it may be a first step or it may be a second step or third. There will be a systematic process in order to get the final output. So how you can track this? What do you mean by tracking? The job of a product management often takes on a program management flavor when it comes to keeping a track of how the development of a new product is coming along. So tracking is also very essential. We know whatever the process you'll be doing and whatever the sequence you'll be following, and the tracking will going to help how much the process as well as the consideration which we have been taken into consideration. Now we have a final consideration, that is called the concept of redesign. Concept of a redesign of a product. A product redesign is a term effort and its importance for the team to align on why a redesign is necessary. A redesign, as a name indicate, whatever the process as well as the sequence as well as the design you did, that should be modified in order to get the better result. In today's market, most companies redesign to create a new product. They'll plan for a redesign to create the new product. Redesign improve the product quality. Obviously we know after modification, after remodifying, we can improve the quality, we can reduce the cycle time. They modify a single reference product which closely matches user needs and only introduce new products when major conflicts exist between user needs and existing product. This design will consisting of different modification, and these modification are entirely interrelated to get the final output. So the concept of redesign is also very essential in new product development. So all these parameter which comes in this particular case. So with new product development is very interesting concept in product life cycle management system.